Adam, it's finally game week. It's been a very long off season, but a short game week, and we get a Thursday game this week, and I'm excited. Are you excited for a game?
I'm very excited. Yeah, I started kind of getting that feeling when we sat down with Coach Prime on Saturday because it was our last time talking to him before the season opener, and it is starting to really feel like the season needs to kick off. And welcome back, by the way. You were dropping your daughter off at college this past weekend, and but no, even the coordinators seem to have a little bit more of kind of game week mentality going on when they were talking to us versus when they first met with us this spring, which is good. Those guys are very anxious to go against another team finally.
Yeah, took my daughter to Utah State this weekend, so it was a lot of fun. I missed that Coach Prime presser. I did see it. Lots of really good stuff out of him the other day. Lots of good stuff from the coordinators, and I agree with you on how their mentality was, especially with Pat Shurmur. Pat Shurmur seemed definitely more like, I'm locked in on game week now, and we're ready to go. And one of the things they were both asked about working against each other. And I think that it's kind of an interesting dynamic with those two guys, both being from the NFL and kind of playing off each other a little bit in practice. And it sounds like they've helped each other quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a game of chess, and you've got to start honing those skills as a coordinator, and it helps when you feel like that coordinator that's on the same staff of you is challenging you by throwing in wrinkles that then make you come back to the drawing board, because that's what it is to be a coordinator. The quicker you can do that, the better you're going to be in that role. And so in Pat Shurmur, one of the points he really made was that this defensive front is much different than it was a year ago. And then he talked about how much just different as a team it was when he came in last year. He came in late. A lot of the players came in late. And so that's one of the things when national folks or people that don't believe in Colorado and think they're going to have a tough season this year, they say, well, what's different? And it's like you can point to a lot of things that are different, and it really does start with that continuity that you have now than you didn't a year ago.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I've made this point a lot that, yes, there's been a lot of turnover again, but I think one of the key parts of this team that people don't talk about nationally very often, as you're alluding to, is that there is a lot of continuity. There's a lot of core guys that are back from last year that they're building around now. I think that's a big deal. Robert Livingston, I asked him about being that first-time coordinator, play caller, and if going against Pat Shurmur's helped him. And I like what he said, because a lot of coordinators might have maybe a little bit of an ego. This is my defense, I'm going to call it this way. He talked about how he bounces things off of Pat Shurmur a lot, and he bounces things off of Coach Prime a lot. And he goes, I love having those guys there because they help me out a lot to figure out how I want to call certain things.
Yeah, I'm really anxious to see what Robert Livingston's defense looks like on Thursday. We know they're going to play a lot of press man. They're going to put a lot of pressure on those cornerbacks because they can. They've got 5 starting caliber guys at that position, as Coach Prime mentioned at his press conference. So we know that. We know there's a lot of edge players, but exactly how aggressive are they going to be? And because you don't get coaches that are going to want to talk specifics about scheme, especially when you're new in the role, because the more you can hold back from the opponent, that goes to your advantage. So that's high on my list to just see what this defense looks like, because I would say I am more bullish on that group than I expected to going into camp.
The defensive line group?
Just the defense in general.
Okay,
and a big part of that is the defensive linemen that have come in and lived up to the hype coming in here. It just feels like they're saltier as a group just overall. And at times you might just have to be serviceable as a defense in the Big 12 if you've got Shedeur getting protected on the other side of the ball. So if they have a chance to go from being serviceable to that next level and being one of the better teams defensively in the Big 12, then all of a sudden the sky is the limit for this team.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. That's one area that I've changed my opinion a little bit on this team from probably June, July to now, is the defense. I mean, I thought, they're going to be better, but, I don't know how much better. I think they're going to be a lot better as I've gone through it and looked at it and just heard things from out of camp. And a lot of it is that front seven. A lot of it is that we're seeing, it's not just DJ McKinney and Preston Hodge who we saw in the spring, but Colton Hood's pretty good. And Carter Stoutmeyer is healthy, and he's back there. And so I do like this team, this defense a lot more. And every single time we talk to somebody on defense, it feels like Trevor Woods comes up. And there has been so much Trevor Woods love, from this team, because he's a football player, right? And there's so much respect for him. And Robert Livingston talked about him today and how much he's grown physically, but also just as a linebacker.
It is pretty impressive. Just yesterday, I think I was watching on the pregame show some of just the practice footage, and if you didn't know what number, who these guys were off their number, and you just watch that linebackers group, Trevor Woods is one of the bigger guys in that group now.
Yeah.
He really is. He fits in, and there's a couple linebackers that are on the depth end of things that look less like linebackers than Trevor Woods, who was a safety last year. So that is a credit to him.
Yeah, and he mentioned to us when we talked to him earlier this spring that when he first played linebacker last year, that first game, he goes, I was 198 pounds. And now we keep hearing, he told us 217 early in camp, but we've been hearing 224. If he's in that 220 range, that's a huge difference. And I'm excited to see a 220-pound or 215-pound Trevor Woods.
And he just has always been a playmaker, even when he was here as a true freshman.
Right.
They couldn't redshirt him because he was just, even on special teams, was making plays. And so to have that playmaking ability added in there is definitely an upgrade. Again, last year they never really figured out the second cornerback spot. The linebacker was kind of a revolving door for a while as well. Levonta Bentley kind of nailed down that Mike linebacker spot as the season went along, and Woods was out there, but like you said, at 198 pounds. So that situation has definitely improved.
Yeah. Anything else from today, or is that it?
Well, what else stood out to you about the press conference? Because I thought some of the things that were really interesting were Coach Prime explaining why a Michael Harrison doesn't get put on scholarship and come back here. It was because opposing defenses were not changing their game plan as a result of having him out there. And so it was good to hear some of just the behind-the-scenes stuff that sometimes gets the drama gets in the way of that. And it was nice to have mostly a press conference just kind of focused on football.
Yeah, I did like that too. His answer on the tight ends I thought was great, and how they feel like they've got a better tight end group now that can go in there and kind of change the defense a little bit and change the offense a little bit. I like that, and really just Coach Prime's clearly locked in, and he's ready to go. And he likes this team a lot, and you can tell that. And certainly he's confident. We know all that, but you just, as you read body language, things like that, you can tell he likes this team. He thinks this is going to be a pretty good football team.
Yeah. One other thing we should mention too is the fact that all the players on the team that are they're a father, they're getting a bank account created for their children. 21-21. Both of Prime's numbers there, adding up to a nice start financially for each of those players that have a young child on the team.
Yeah, and it's another one of those things that, for all the criticism Coach Prime gets, as I've learned about him from going back to December of 22 when he was first hired, there's a lot of substance to what he's doing, and he's helped out a lot of people from Jackson State when I talk to people there to here. I mean, and that's one thing that I think that doesn't get talked about enough, especially nationally, is he's actually helping the people that are close to him and around him. They actually like him, and he's made an impact on their lives.
Yeah, no, that's where why a lot of the negative commentary about how this program is being run is not from people that are around this program.
Right. Yeah.
It's them talking to disgruntled players that have a beef and sour grapes, and we said that back with some of the Athlon stuff. It's just like, now it's great though, Brian, because Thursday night, football, put that stuff to the side and focus on the game.
We get to see a football game this week, and we're going to be back later this week to talk about it and preview it.